slew of like Asian influencers out there while we were growing up, we'd be like, oh, that is so cool, and I want to relate to them more. I want to seek them out more. Yeah. But because we didn't even have that, we just took like the Britney Spears and the Christina Aguilera.
Yeah, exactly. Or you have me and like the more serious like Connie Chung, or like we talked also about reading the Joy Luck Club in school growing up, Amy Tan, but that's how deep I had to dig to
right.
or how not pop culture relevant it was.
Right.
Looking back, like if I were to look at like role models or mentors in my life, the people that I look up to growing up were actually real life people in my life that were Asian American versus someone on screen, because I didn't have anyone I felt like I could relate to.
Right. So someone tangible to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So do you guys have any tangible people in your life that you looked up to, like whether it's a sister or like a friend?
Well, I guess if I were to look back at my life and where I am now and who, quote unquote, influenced my life, it's difficult because, again, I can't identify anyone specific in media that I said, oh my gosh, she's an amazing finance businesswoman that I am going to emulate and whose life I want to recreate and live on my own. But if I do think back to it, I would say it's my sister. She's 2 years older, and I literally followed her footsteps from high school to college, same undergrad program. But yeah, I would say that my sister is probably the biggest influencer. And also, as an older sister, right, you always look up to her and kind of follow whatever she does. Like, she wanted to play teacher when she was younger, and so I played teacher and like did all these things that she wanted to do. And
how about you, Mel?
I always wished I had an older sister growing up because I wanted to steal her clothes. But now I just borrow my brother's oversized shirts, and he's younger, whatever. Someone I looked up to growing up was someone in choir. So I was a freshman and she was a senior. Her name's Lolita. She's still to this day like my mentor in life. I think I looked up to her because I saw myself in her. She was 3 years older than me. She was really silly, but she was also like, everyone respected her because she was like our section leader in choir. Like she like led our whole 28 girls to make sure they knew what they were doing, but she also did it with compassion and love. And she became someone that I just looked up to because I always, when I ran into any questions in college or anything with love or romance and family, she would always be someone I asked for answers to. I kind of call her like the elevated version of myself. Like I see her as like, she's a really good daughter. The way she handles work is something I want to be able to handle it in the way she does. And it's interesting because she's not in the same industry as me. Like we're actually very different careers.
Do you think that her cultural background plays a role too? Like, is there are aspects of similar values or similar experiences that you know that she understands or that she emulates that you know that you wouldn't find in another person?
Yeah, Lolita is Thai, so she's also Asian American. So I think we did have that similar family and cultural background. I think when you don't have someone growing up in the media to look up to, you look for people in your life. The fact that she was so relatable to me. And the fact that I feel like, oh my God, we have similar qualities. Our personality is actually very similar too. And I think the fact that she is older, she became like naturally my mentor.
How about you, Janet? Did you have anyone?
I am an older sister, so I didn't have anyone in my family, but I had an older cousin who was only 2 years older. And we have really different personality types, but I did look up to her a lot growing up. Not only her, but I had some other friends who were either a year older or slightly older that I also kind of emulated. And they were all, with my cousin, it's like we were dealing with the same family and the same values, but my friends who were also like Chinese American or Vietnamese American or...
Like what about them did you feel like you related to? Were they like, into raw salads? Like did they also like, meditate with the water bath, sound bath?
Well, I think, so I say my cousin and I are really different because she's super extroverted, really bubbly personality, but she also was a natural leader. And not just with women, like with dudes. And she was kind of a tomboy, but she could command a team in a group like that and garner respect, but also be really fun and kind of like flirty. And like, I always found that really, really admirable. And I had a lot of other friends who had older sisters. So they were maybe like a year or two older than me and all had different aspects. Like I remember one girl was much more academic and like softer spoken. So I was like, I'm a little bit more like that. So I could directly kind of like relate to and admire some of those things and take some of the classes that she took, right? The year after kind of things. So
going back to Connie Chung, she was a news anchor person, and now you have your own podcast. So I think she is a direct
Oh my God,
influence.
dream realized.
Oh, yeah. There was actually a very brief period in my life, I think in elementary school, my mom was like, you should be a news anchor. So maybe there was some influence in my mind where I was like, yeah, I want to, like Connie Chung.
You've come full circle and now you're influencing other girls. Oh.
Actually, a lot of my friends who listen like love Janet's voice on the podcast.
Janet has a great radio voice.
Oh, so great.
Mel, what email did you get recently?
Apparently, I have a very big lisp. I don't
Own it. Own it.
Yeah, own it.
I mean, I do.
And you were relatable to someone,
Yeah.
and she felt much more comfortable
with her speech impediment.
No, but I mean, this is exactly what we're talking about. You are that person for her who she looks at and is like, wow, you're doing really amazing things. And there's something about you that I can see myself in. I mean, she's essentially wrote to you as like, you're inspiring me. So
Yeah.
that is awesome.
That is really awesome. And it's like a small thing where, just thinking back to our childhood, was there someone who we looked up to and said, and could send a message to and be like, hey, thanks for being this person who is able to be proud of whatever I'm not confident about or whatever. Like, we never had that. And the fact that you are that person for someone, it's amazing.
It feels so surreal. Like, I don't believe it.
You're Lispor.
That too, you know.
Mel, I think it's incredible that you're able to influence this girl. And the platform that you're using is a podcast, different from our generation of where we grow up. People growing up in the 2000s now, they have YouTube, they have Netflix, they have access to so many different platforms. And similarly, so do creators. Creators can put themselves out there really easily, and that's created this like surplus of, you know, just Asian Americans creating content, which I think is incredibly important, because you don't have to go through, say, like Hollywood, which won't greenlight a lot of projects for people, and you're able to just do it on your own. And that's why nowadays there's just so many more influencers for the newer generation.
Speaking of the newer generation, like, do you guys have anyone from that newer generation that you guys relate to? Like, I know, Helen, you're really into fitness. Is there anyone in the fitness world, maybe on Instagram or on YouTube, that you're like, I really like her content because I feel like I could see myself in her?
So there's one girl named Raimi. I think she just turned 30.
Oh.
And she had quit, you know, her corporate job and started doing fitness and blogging full time. And I've always seen that as inspiring, to be able to be successful in focusing on this path that I believe is incredibly hard to do. So people like her, people like Cassie Ho, Blogilates, the fact that they can take on this industry that doesn't have a lot of Asian influencers and be successful at it is inspiring. And seeing it from like the perspective of their influencers, but they're also relatable, right? They're also someone that I could see myself in. And I think that's what makes it even more inspiring than someone like, say, Trini, or people in our past growing up as children, people who we just kind of see and we kind of clap at, but we can't really relate to.
I follow, there's this girl, her Instagram account is Stir and Style. And so I think she went to law school and was a practicing lawyer, and then also was like a real estate agent. And she no longer practices law, or she does personally, because essentially she went to start her own like food business, but she also does a fitness business with her husband. She's just like all over the place, right? And in a good way. And I found that inspiring because she is also Asian American and is an example of someone who did kind of the more traditional route and took that leap and is being very entrepreneurial and like really took a step away from like the safeness of pre-made paths. The thing that I really like about her is that she has such a positive and great energy. And so beyond any of her accomplishments or all those things, having someone like that be present for people today, that just is just awesome. Helen, to your point about her being, or like these influencers being relatable, it's because the platform, like I can see her, she's taking stories all the time. I feel like I'm really getting to know her as a person. And that's something that we wouldn't get in the past, right? With media, we don't see the everyday content of someone. How about you, Mel?
Well, two people come to mind. I have a major girl crush on Jen Im for Close Encounters. I mean, we definitely have different backgrounds, but I think the fact that we're the same age or around the same age, I feel like I could relate to her. I just like her voice when she is talking to the camera. I actually watch all her YouTube videos. I feel like there's something really real about the way she comes off screen. She feels like a friend.
Yeah,
like
easygoing.
Exactly. She'll cuss on screen. You get to see her eat kimchi jjigae, whatever. Just like you feel like you're just chilling with her, and I think that's like, I don't know. So there's something really comforting about that.
Sounds like something you could do, Mel.
Something I totally do. I just don't whip out the camera.
Maybe it sounds like something you should do.
I mean, if do you guys want to see videos of me eat? Anyways, another person I think that I was surprised to feel myself resonate with is Ali Wong.
Okay, yeah.
I think people were talking so much about her special on Netflix. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm hearing about it. But then I finally watched it months later, and I was laughing so hard because it was the first time I saw like an Asian American being really like raunchy.
Right.
But also being really honest about it too.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes growing up, I always joke around that my humor is like a boy. Like I say kind of perverted things here and there. Like my girlfriends are just like, oh, you're gross. I'm just like, really? But it's so funny.
Right.
So watching Ali Wong, like, you know, give her like comedy special, I was like, oh my God, I totally like get this girl. And it was hilarious. Did you guys watch her special?
Yeah, I watched it too, and I was laughing the whole time. I kind of just happened upon on Netflix one night because I had heard Mel talk about it.
Yeah.
She brings in aspects that are like cultural, that if you're not of that culture, you wouldn't really find it as funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's great that, yeah, now we have Asian American comedians, right? Like a lot more of them too. So a different spin, I guess, of our character that is more standard in Hollywood.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you remember a time when you first saw an Asian man on screen? You're like, wow, who's that? He's hot.
I think we were joking about this,